Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it away. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it away.
Hey guys, welcome on in. Welcome on in. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome in. What is it? Hump day? It is hump day. It's the 21st of May, and it's good to see you guys. It's good to see everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Volume's up, camera's on. We're good to go. Earlier, I don't know what's going on with my camera. I keep having to unplug it and then plug it back in for it to work. So I need to go get a new wire or something for that. But you'll see me so far. We're good. I'm going to put the comments on, show the comments on the stage at the bottom. So now that you guys will type, you'll see them. They are kind of small, but they're rolling with a new thing for StreamYard where you guys can see your comments on the screen as well as see me. And I think it's perfect. So another secret hearing today. Yes, there was Ladybug. So welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Nathaniel. I kind of go through the names fast. You don't know me, do you? Welcome in. Hey, Kathy. I don't think I said Kathy already. Catherine. It's good to see you guys. Hey, Willows. Hey, baby girl. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Shells. Hey, Mia Mori. Hey, True Crime Lullabies. Man, my allergies are something is up with them today. I feel like my eyes have been burning. Hey, your Kiwi mate, give them the continuance. No, I don't want that to happen. When I first started reading the documents today, I was like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Are we kidding? Hey, Pete. Hey, Princess. Hey, Petunia. Because I mean, we're going to trial August 11th. He's going to be there. I'm going to make sure of it. If I've got to wheel him in one of those little wheelchair things that they have for the bad inmates. Hey, get to the ducking point. You here yet, Squeaky? Hey, Angie. Well, it's good to see everybody. I'm going to get down to the bottom. That way we can get on here. I'll look at that. Dr. Aries. We got a doctor in the house now. Hey, Tony. Podiatrist did that. I think we could all use a podiatrist around here. So I think that the more I keep thinking about it, baby girl, I don't think that Judge Hippler's going to let this slide either. I don't know. I don't know though. I think it's because we've been shocked, not shocked. Judge, when we had Judge John Judge, he did give the defense a lot of what they wanted. And I mean, and as he should have, I mean, it's a death penalty case. But if Anne can take on another case that's death penalty qualified, she never did ask for any help. She never asked for any interns. She never asked for any extra funding. The judge went over this with her just recently. So the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't think it's going to work for you, Anne. I don't think it's going to work for you. You've had over 2 years to look at the evidence, okay? We've all looked at it. If we had the evidence that you had, we'd look at it for you. I would do that and be no bias here. If it will help speed along things, we'll do that. Hey, Naomi. You think they'll give it to us? I doubt it. But so today I got on and it was just defendant's motion to leave to exceed page limit, of course, and then defendant's motion to continue, which was a 40-page document, and they are blaming everybody. So before we get started, I'll give you guys kind of like an overview of the case. I think everybody knows the case, but Bryan Kohberger, he is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary in the November 13th, 2022 stabbing deaths of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. And they were students at Idaho, University of Idaho, and they were staying in their off-campus home when they were murdered in their sleep. So there have been a lot of developments that have come out in this trial over the last 2.5 years, but a few of them have been like the trial and venue change. The recent hearing, they had just had a recent hearing today, but then we had one on May 15th, and they addressed trial logistics, including jury sequestering and evidence admissibility. The judge ordered both sides to preserve records after an apparent leak of Kohberger's phone data, including internet searches, selfies. They were featured in a Dateline episode. There was a lot in that Dateline episode, actually. So they were talking about even like the surveillance. There was something else that I thought of earlier. And I was like, oh, that was in the Dateline episode. Now I can't remember what it was. Oh, Bryan Kohberger sitting down in Xana's room. That is something that they would have saved that, I feel like, for trial, or if they were going to do like a deal of any kind, because that would be something only the killer would know, right? Really, like 100%. Like he knows for sure if he sat there or not. I don't think they're going to find the pair of, the overalls he was wearing to match them up or anything like that. But there's a lot of stuff going on. And so evidence disputes, cell phone and Amazon data, the DNA evidence, they're trying to get that thrown out. Witness testimony, they've been trying to get, Dylan's witness testimony kind of thrown out. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not. They're letting the bushy eyebrows come in. Then they even decided to give us, they were saying that he was night driving. That was his first alibi, right? Then it was kind of like, okay, we're not going to talk about the night driving anymore, but he's autistic now and he has OCD. In my opinion, that's y'all telling on yourself. So the defense strategy is that he was out driving the night of the murders. It's supposed to be, they said they're going to be having this supported by phone data, but the prosecution says that they have phone data that says otherwise. So we'll have to wait until the trial to actually see that. Now, family involvement in this trial, the victims' parents have all said that they want to attend the trial. As far as I know, they are all going to attend. Even Ethan's mom and dad, I don't know if his brother or sister will be there, but they did say that they were going to be there on some days. So, and And then basically this case has just gotten a lot of public and media attention. But I say if we can get a jury for O.J. Simpson, we can get one for Bryan Kohberger. Okay. Bryan is not that big of a deal. He's not. So he's remains in Ada County Jail. He is 30 years old. He celebrated his last 2 birthdays in there. Well, one or two. Yeah. He was born in November. So the prosecution is preparing for, this case. They're including digital evidence, witness testimony, and then the defense has been challenging a lot of evidence lately, and now they're asking for a continuance. They also said that they were going to show proof of an alternate suspect. Now, they better not just show up with that glove that they found outside in a Ziploc baggie and be like, we want to test this. Because I would just be, I could just see that happening, but that'd be ridiculous. But I could see that actually happening. So today, the defense filed paperwork for a continuance. And they are stating the Dateline episode along with a book from James Patterson that he is putting out, I believe, right before the trial. So they're putting that as their reasoning. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I mean, right, I want to serve it in. Yeah, well, I was just going to say they even did that. They even went behind everyone's back and did that little survey they did, I was thinking the sister too. Like for some of the stuff, like if because people were like, well, they wouldn't have access to that or something. I'm like, well, maybe they might. You never know. And thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button for me. I appreciate that. If you'd like to become a member throughout the live, we would love to have you become a member. I have the link pinned to the top of the chat. And I can actually see the screen now, so I can see the chat again. I don't think he's very confident in himself. I would like to know, I would love more than anything to know what he's thinking. Like when he sees these documents drop, when just all of it. I just want to know what he's thinking. Because I pictured him in his cell with like a bunch of paperwork, like, going through it with like, a pen or something. But I guess he does all of his stuff over the computer, which that to me would irk me. I'm a paper kind of gal. I would like it in my hand, but I mean, I'm sure they could do that for him. But Bryan Kohberger's defense team seeks to postpone Idaho murder trial. Now, if they postpone this trial, we're going to have our own trial. I don't know how we're going to sneak Kohberger upstairs to the courthouse, but we'll try an empty chair. I don't know. But basically, Bryan Kohberger, accused in the killing of 4 University of Idaho students, is seeking an indefinite postponement of his trial date. His defense team filed a 40-page motion to continue. It says Monday, but we just got it, citing a recent NBC Dateline program that they claimed showcased materials to promote a narrative of guilt. Now, I don't think they really meant to promote that. Like, I don't think the Dateline was going in that direction. I truly think they just went in the direction of their reporting, But the backstory is, if you don't know, Kohberger's charged in the deaths of Madison Mogen, Kayla Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Opening arguments in the trial are currently scheduled for August 11th. I guess everybody that has a plane ticket, just hold off. I mean, I don't even know how that works. Like, can you keep getting reimbursed for plane tickets if you don't go? Like, and you're not, I mean, I don't know. And you don't have a good excuse. I guess you could cancel. You'd have to probably pay money, though, every time you cancel. The defense motion argues that rescheduling the trial will mitigate the prejudicial effects of negative publicity following the May 9th Dateline program. Now, I do remember the judge saying something along the lines of like, by the time it got to trial, like by the time we got like to the trial, the Dateline episode, it would be like in the past. You know what I mean? Like we can't, obviously we can't take the Dateline episode out of people's minds. Even if we don't have them go to on trial for another year. They're still going to remember the Dateline episode. Plus, there's reruns. You can always watch it on Hulu. I mean, so it just doesn't make sense. It says the defense motion argues that rescheduling the trial will mitigate the prejudicial effects of public publicity following the May 9th Dateline program. It says the report featured data allegedly found on Kohberger's cell phone, including searches about serial killers and images of college-aged women in bikinis. Now, I don't know how they would have got a hold of those types of material. I mean, that, like, to me would be like an investigator would have that. Maybe a family member may have that. If you're like I know that when they were searching the family home, they couldn't take the iPad in the living room or something because it was a family room and it was a shared place. So they couldn't take it or something like that. I'm wondering if his devices were synced onto something, but he had 18. What kind of phone did he have? I don't think he had an iPhone. So that probably wouldn't work. And I don't know nothing about Google or Android. So if anyone does it automatically like sync together? And that wouldn't sync though to an iPad. It'd have to be an Apple Mac product. It's just a little weird, isn't it? Okay. I'm just thinking this stuff out loud with you guys. It says what they're saying, the defense stated in the motion that the Dateline program includes details and materials, including video footage, cell phone records, and photographs of documents that are not publicly available through official channels. The show repeatedly emphasizes the non-public nature of this information, stating it was obtained from unnamed sources who are close to the investigation and that the materials were obtained exclusively by Dateline. Much of the investigative material presented by Dateline was taken out of context and will not be admissible at trial because it lacks reliability. Much of the investigative material. I wonder what would not be. Like, I wonder if, even I don't think that the pictures of the girls, I don't know if that would really come in. The girl that he, said, hey, that's my favorite activity, like talking about, going on a hike with her. I don't think that would come in. Ashlyn Couch supposed to be there for the night, but she didn't. She didn't stay because her mom needed her to watch the dogs. I don't think that would come in at trial. I do think like surveillance footage would come in though at trial. Things that he was Googling, searching for, those things could come in at trial. The ass print in the chair, that would probably definitely come in at trial. So, man, like, who would know that? Like, that to me, okay, like, do you think Anne has even read that far into the paperwork for her to even know that there was a butt print on the chair in Xana's bedroom? I mean, I don't know how far along they've read. It seems like they haven't read anything, but that's just like, now I wonder if the investigators, as soon as they walked in, I wonder if they knew what they were looking at when they saw that. I really want to paint the backside of my butt and sit down. I wish I knew what kind of chair it was. If anyone knows what kind of chair it is, let me know. Because I'm curious now. I know the font is so small. I don't know why they it's new, so maybe they'll make it bigger. I hope they do. It is pretty small. It says that Lake Tahoe County District Judge John Judge has already called for a separate investigation on how Dateline obtained the material. Why are they saying that? That's not who we have. That's supposed to say Judge Hippler, Fox 13. And I swear every article that we ever read on this channel, ever has an error. I could write better. Like, and that's not saying much because I mean, obviously, but man, that kind of tricked me because I was like, am I reading an old article? But I knew I wasn't. The motion also referenced a forthcoming book by author James Patterson, The Idaho 4, An American Tragedy, scheduled for release on July 14th. You can get it on early release or whatever. Like I could pay for it and buy it. Should we do it? Should we get that book? Should we read it? We read Howard Bloom's. I would take James Patterson over Howard Bloom any day. No offense to Howard Bloom. But it says the defense states the book's description of Kohberger as a brilliant grad student, loner, apparent incel, and the publisher's boast of unmatched access to the investigation, including interviews with local law enforcement, further demonstrates the need for a delay. I think that it means that we just need to get to trial faster because there's only going to be more videos, more books, more movies, more. So we're not going to be able to stop it. You know what I mean? I feel like I didn't think that people even would write a book about this case until it was over. You know, like I would want the full context. I would want the full story. Maybe not. No, I would. I still would, I think. But it says, where are we at? Oh, this suggestion suggests that the apparent Dateline leak was not only violation of the court's non-dissemination order. The defense wrote in the motion, the 6th and 14th Amendments guarantee the right to a fair trial by an impartial jury. A continuance is necessary to fully investigate the leaks and to mitigate the prejudicial effects of such inflammatory pretrial publicity occurring so close to the current trial date. Now, could you see, I mean, I don't think this would be out of the realm of possibilities, and I might be crazy saying it, but do you think that Ann Taylor would leak information? Not like maybe her, not her per se, because I don't want to put her in the hot seat, but maybe like somebody like the Jay Logston. Maybe, do you think like they would leak anything so that way they could get a delay? Because I mean, okay, they're trying to get a continuance. They've been trying to get a continuance for a long time. They keep saying it's because they need more discovery. They want more discovery. But now I'm feeling like, what are we doing here, Anne? Because you did pick up an extra case, and you probably don't ever in your whole entire life have ever had 2 death penalty cases at the same time. I bet you she never has had that. And then smack her on with Bryan Kohberger. This is going to make or break her career. I mean, it's going to make her career. I don't think it'll break her, even if she loses. Unless she went in there and did horribly, bad. I wonder if there's a way to look that up. She wants a mistrial. Her whole career would be gone. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I'm like, but would she put like an intern to do it? Like I'm not going to tell you what to do, but maybe I should. I don't know. I don't think she would do that. $200 an hour is a lot of money. But then again, I don't think she ever had 2 DP cases at the same time. Isn't it? I would think it would be hard for you to work any other case in general other than Bryan Kohberger. If you're on for Bryan Kohberger, she couldn't even take Xana Kernodle's mom on. She was like, nope, drop her. Got Bryan Kohberger now. So like, I wonder where the other person is, like where they're going on trial, what they did. I need to look into that other case. We need to see who that was. And welcome in everybody that's piling in. It's good to see you guys. Our dude, Bryan, he looks like he's lost some weight. It's probably just like the angle, but he does. It says Bryan Kohberger's defense team is trying to delay the trial, blaming partly the gag order violation and the leaks to Dateline. So we'll listen to him and see what he has to say real quick. He would put this on Twitter earlier, right before the live.
Bryan Kohberger's defense team is trying to delay the trial. They just filed a 40-page motion citing all the reasons that they think the trial needs to be delayed and the reasons they say it cannot start at the beginning of August. What is most interesting to me is they are singling out the leak, the Dateline leak, and saying that that is one of the reasons that it would be unfair for the trial to begin in August. Let me read you part of what their new motion says. It says, On May 9th, 2025, just weeks before this capital trial is set to begin, Dateline NBC aired a 2-hour episode about this case titled The Terrible Night on King Road. The program includes details and materials, including video footage, cell phone records, and photographs of documents that are not publicly available through official channels. The show repeatedly emphasizes the non-public nature of this information, stating it was obtained from unnamed sources who are close to the investigation. Much of the investigative materials presented to Dateline were taken out of context and will not be admissible at trial. The leaked materials appear carefully curated to promote a narrative of guilt, the defense says, and the source of the leak is most likely someone currently or formerly associated with law enforcement or the prosecution team. If that is the case, it raises urgent and serious questions about the objectivity, judgment, and credibility of the individuals tasked with investigating, presenting the state's evidence. It also goes on to talk about James Patterson, the fact that James Patterson, the big author, has written a book about the murders that is set to come out 16 days before the trial, and the Kohberger defense team seems to think that they may also have information in that book that is a violation of the gag order. Remember, the judge has mentioned possibly getting a special prosecutor to look into the leaks. And now you've got the defense saying, okay, if you're going to investigate the leaks and we're going to try to figure out what's going on here, we need to delay the trial to figure out if there's an impact on who can testify.
Nope, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there, my friend Bryan Enton. What we do is we stop the book. You stop the book from being released. You have one of their interns read it that knows the case. Hell, have me read it. I'll read it. I'll tell you if there's anything in there we've never heard before. And then go from there, right? If the book doesn't hold anything in there, it's not going to affect the trial. Let James Patterson do what he's going to do. I don't know. James Patterson seems like a pretty okay guy to me. I've read a few of his books, probably 30. He's written 1 million, you know. He seems like the type of person that has some decency in him. I don't know. Like compared to Howard Bloom, I'm just saying. Oh, and I looked up how many death penalty cases can a defense attorney take on in Idaho? Maximum number of 2. 2. She's at her max limit. So, it says this part of the Idaho Administrative Code rules on caseload management for defending attorneys. These rules aim to ensure adequate representation and prevent excessive workloads that could interfere with a lawyer's ability to provide effective legal counsel. So we'll see what Judge Hippler has to say about that.
And how things will move forward. So it's going to be interesting. You know, the judge has wanted to keep the trial on track for the beginning of August, but this is sort of a compelling argument. I was talking to a couple of defense attorneys before I got on here. He could delay it. We're going to have to see what happens. I'm filling in for Ashley Banfield tonight on News Nation, so we're going to talk about it at 10 o'clock Eastern on News Nation. All right, see you guys.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch all the way through, but Ashley, you stay in here because I got your man coming up. Got your man. Joseph Scott Morgan did a video. I think he was on the Dateline episode. You just pre-ordered? No, I should pre-order it. I like Patterson too. And I've been collecting books lately. I have another book I was going to read to y'all, but I think it was like it's an Idaho book. I forget. I got it like last summer. I'd never read the whole thing. I never read the whole thing. So now I got to start over. I was reading it at the pool. So like I was telling you guys earlier, Bryan Kohberger's attorneys are arguing that, you know, an alternate perpetrator possibly could be involved. Now they're going to have to show some evidence of that. And I think they had until June 6th to show evidence to corroborate that they, you know, that's like compelling enough that the judge is going to, you know, say, okay. So it does. And then also they already went over it, so I don't need to show you this video really, but Bryan Kohberger's case leak could be, you know, they could exclude that evidence from trial. That could be part of it, or they could give them a continuance. Judge Hippler, though, he seems like he's a pretty like don't break rules in my courtroom kind of guy. And we're not gonna be postponing things around here. You know, like there's a schedule for a reason and we're sticking to it. And I don't know, have faith for once. Like I do have faith that he's not going to say, yeah, give her a continuance. But then again, he might be pissed off about all this, Dateline stuff. He seemed like he was a little upset last hearing. So, we should write Koberger. Oh, thanks, True Crime Lullabies. I'll have to let you know. I'd love to read that James Patterson book. That would be really good. There's a few books that I've been wanting to read. Okay. So I saw this earlier. When did they put this out? Yesterday or today? Yesterday. I was going to show this to you guys actually yesterday, but then we went a different route. We went over Elliot Rodger, which I thought that was a pretty interesting live. His whole, like just everything that he did and the similarities. If you think about it, if you think about the personality similarities of what we know about Bryan, I'm not saying that he is an incel, but of what we know about him, he could be. He has had problems with women throughout his life. Just because he got a girl's phone number at a pool party one time does not mean he's a gentleman. I mean, he told another girl she had good birthing hips. So kind of counters that one, Also, he had, problems with girls in high school. He had problems with the women when he was in college. So I don't know, Koberger. I don't know, man. But I wanted to play this podcast for you guys. It is Joseph Scott Morgan. Nancy's been on Diddy duty. She is Diddying it up. So he took the reins, but he does Joseph Scott Morgan. If you don't know who that is, he does a lot of podcasts with Nancy Grace, but he's what is he? He's a teacher, but I'm trying to think of what he actually teaches. Criminology or something like that. One of you guys will probably know in the chat. I'm trying to think. Okay, now I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up really quick. Criminal justice or forensic? Okay, forensic sciences degree. Wait, no, he holds a forensic science degree. We're going to see. He's a leading expert on the U.S. coroner system, as well as a legal. I don't even know. Let's see what this is. I don't even. So I can tell you about him. Okay, he's applied forensics at Jacksonville State University, where he holds the faculty rank of Associate Professor of Forensic Investigations. Morgan is a leading expert on the U.S. coroner system, as well as how do you say this? Medical legal. Oh, that did not look like that. Okay, medical legal. That did not look like that to me at all. Why is my brain not computing that little word? Education. But yeah, he's been on a lot of different podcasts that we listen to. So we're going to listen to him. Let me get it over there. And also, so since the podcast, I'm going to put pictures up. That way you guys have something, to look at. That's not just, the black thing. Hey, Devaney, you wanted to be a forensic investigator? That's what you're in college for? That's awesome. Get it? That is awesome. I got my degree in criminal justice and applied science. And I really, I've always loved true crime. I've always really, really, really loved it. And then, I don't know, just now I talk about it instead of doing it. But I like it like that. It's going to be a really good job for you, Devaney. It's very, very rewarding, Okay, so this has like 36 minutes on here. I'm going to pause it here and there for commentary. He is on here with Dave Mack. If you don't know who Dave Mack is, he's the robotic guy. He sounds kind of like a little robot. But I always like to tell people he is a real person. He's not AI, but he sounds like it. Okay, and let me actually turn this up. Let me do this. Get us where we need to be. Maybe I should refresh the page. Okay.
And, this has gotten more.
I'll turn it up for you guys now.
So, this past Saturday, I was mentioned in a post on X, and I looked down, my handle is on there and everything, and thinking it's just going to be some comment about some case that's floating around there. Well, yeah, it was about a case, and not only was it about a case, it was about a very specific case, because this was on Saturday, and on Friday night, apparently Dateline did an episode on the Idaho 4. And of course, the accused is Bryan Kohberger. Boy, do I have a tale to tell you guys, because apparently, I have been viewed by certain individuals that I'm prepared to discuss right now. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags. Dave could knock me over with a feather. I'm sitting there with my queen of the homestead, and we're having our morning coffee, as we do every day. My favorite time of day, by the way. And
okay, that's cute.
I'm scrolling through the night's events, catching up on X, formerly known, of course, as Twitter. And lo and behold, I've been tagged. And there before me, I see a picture that is a screen grab off of Dateline, and it's my image. Apparently, Bryan Kohberger, according to them at Dateline, they have information that states that he's watching or listening to things on YouTube relative to true crime, and specifically these 4 homicides in which he is accused of perpetrating. Dave, I got to tell you, brother, not too many things send a chill up my spine. It got my attention real quick. When the Idaho case kicked off, when we first had a national awareness of it, my wife and I were just as shocked. It was on a Sunday, and it hit the news that afternoon. The next day, that Monday, I was on national television, and it seemed like oh my Lord, it was like solid for like 3 weeks. I just had phone calls coming in from all of these different networks, podcasters, YouTube channels, and all this sort of thing. So the fact that I would pop up on his radar, I guess, because he's seeking, I think, if you continue with this line of logic here that Dateline is putting forward, this isn't me putting this forward, it's Dateline. I would think that he's seeking information from individuals that may have practiced in the past, because if you're in kind of the atmosphere that I'm in right now, I don't work in the field anymore. I'm a teacher, and then I do commentary. So I bring my knowledge from, as a practitioner and as an educator to most of the stuff that I do, and I just talk about it. And look, I'm not the only one. I'm sure that there were multiple locations that he visited along the way, and just to glean information. And I find that's very interesting what you mentioned, Dave. People throw around that term narcissism quite a bit, and it seems like it's in every other sentence now. Then everybody's making a diagnosis of narcissism. I don't know if that's the same as being egocentric, or I guess there's shades of this involved in everything. But I'm interested in what you have to say about, was he seeking information about the case potentially, or was he scratching that itch to see his name, or see, not his name, we wouldn't have known it at that time, but to see the shock that it elicits from the general public? Every time there's some breathless reporter that comes on the air to talk about some little new thing that has developed.
I wonder why, Joe.
Yeah.
Why but not. I'm more like, I wonder why he's listening or watching that particular show. But I think it's feeding his ego, getting his name mentioned. But I think it's also, you got to remember, he's also a student. So almost a professional student in his life. He didn't really go out of the educational atmosphere. But I think based on what we know of him, and it makes sense that he would be driven to watch or listen to a professor give a breakdown as opposed to a clinician. It just makes sense to me that he would be, I don't want to say that he's he's drawn to you, but it makes sense to me that he would care what your opinion was, because as a student, he wants to impress the professor. And as a suspected killer, he wants as much fame. He's not going to get away with it at this point. They've pretty much made sure that the judge has made sure that everything that they didn't want in is coming in. And so at this point, I think they're trying to mitigate the death penalty. Is there a way that we can avoid that?
Yeah. I mean, Exhibit 1A is autism, right?
Yeah.
Because autism has nothing to do with him. His appearance in court, you mentioned, I love that word mitigate, by the way. They're trying to mitigate the death penalty here. Yeah. They're trying to say that he's not eligible because he's diagnosed with autism, which,
look, man,
is.
If you're mentally handicapped because of that, then how did you get to be in a college level, a program, that just doesn't hold water. That is just a bucket full of holes, man. Really? How can that, based on what you've accomplished?
Listen, people that would make a different argument will say, well, you don't understand, the spectrum is nuanced.
Oh, I do.
I mean, how many times have we heard that? And look, that's going to, the people that say that are making the same argument that the defense is making.
You and I have had this conversation about on the spectrum with regard to my grandson.
Yeah.
So as soon as that started coming out on this, I went, really? You're going to play this card? Let's see how far they go. And having seen it up close and personal, I wasn't shocked that they tried to play it. I'm thankful that nobody bought it. Well, but I'm not shocked that he came looking for you.
I want to interject one more thing and about this as well. People throw around this term incel a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so, they'll say, I'll just see random comments that'll pop up on social media and they'll say classic incel. And I'm thinking, okay, how'd you arrive at that diagnosis? Because I can tell you this, there is a manual that mental health workers use. It's called the DSM, and it's in multiple iterations. And I think they're in like the third, they're in the fifth iteration of this now. Nowhere in that manual.
I read that somewhere that he's the fifth DSM or whatever it is. Where did I read that? Or maybe that was Elliot Roger. Okay, never mind. Forget I said that. That could have been Elliot, because it could have been from last night. But I did read one of them too, where I remember reading the 5 DSM and I was like, I don't know what that means. But I could have sworn it was for Bryan Kohberger, because I was thinking autism. I was thinking that it was the DSM was, because I'm still learning, was the autism spectrum. There's you could be 1, 2, 3, whatever, the numbers. I thought that's what it was. I'm going to look for that and find out where I saw that.
You're going to go in there and find the term incel. And the way this manual, the DSM, works is that, it helps you make diagnoses, but you know what else they do? There's a code in there so that when mental health people are making a diagnosis, they have to enter that code onto their insurance forms in order to get reimbursed. So if there was money to be made with a diagnosis of being an incel, and I don't even know what you would call it, incelitis. I have no idea. That implies an infection. There's no such thing in the mental health world as being an incel. This is a term that has been created to categorize a certain group of men. And so they've used this term for him. And, you know, they just kind of throw these terms around like that.
Just so you know, friends, if you don't know what incel means, it means involuntarily celibate. It's from guys who have trouble with girls. And to be honest with you, they would have problem with most guys, you know, based on the way they talk, act, and think.
Yeah.
They're not the type of individual I know anybody would hang out with. And so I think it's made up term.
It's weird. I mean, most of the time people are, you know, you come across somebody and they're, you know, I don't know, eccentric maybe, but
that's a great term.
Yeah,
that's a great term.
Yeah, eccentricity, you know, and I have a touch of that in me. I'm a college professor. It's actually mandated in my contract every year. You must be eccentric because you're a college professor. But you know, back to this idea of him. Can I tell you one other thing?
It looks sorry. It looks like it was on one of the orders that we read through. It was on the motion to strike the death penalty, autism spectrum disorder. Is where I was seeing it. I'm reading more about it. Try to find the exact spot.
That happened to me on Saturday morning as I sat there with my bride and my cup of Joe.
It's weird to hear you call it a cup of Joe.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird, isn't it? I sat there, and as I was sipping on my coffee and I'm kind of absorbing this thing, the first thing that jumped into my mind's eye was, what did I say? What did I say? Did I say anything that could have been taken by this individual and had some kind of utility for them? And you can't think that way, but it's not outside. I mean, we go to CrimeCon and I actually have people that will walk up to me. It happens almost every CrimeCon. They'll say, do you feel like that you're teaching killers out there, prospective killers? And no, I'm teaching forensics. I mean, all are welcome at the table, I guess. But, you know, you can't tell who's out there in the audience when you're making any kind of comment. You could say the same thing, I guess, about the people that are on Dateline. I mean, they do this, they've done this for years. You know, they have that slotted time, and there are people that can't go without watching Dateline. Hey, that's cool if that's what you're all about. But, you know, they're disseminating information as well. But, you know, I've had that thought, you know, that's come up in my mind, you know, over the years, you know, thinking about, you know, who's within the sound of my voice. And if you think that's bad, I think now about my academic colleagues that are at DeSales University. And now, all of these years later, after this massacre in Moscow, Idaho took place, I really wonder, are they thinking? What did we teach you?
It's commercial, I think.
Hi. Sorry, did I startle you?
Well, Brother Dave, aside from my mug appearing on television and the shock, my own personal pearl clutching that took place over it, they did have information that they revealed, and a lot of stuff was stuff that we had not heard before. You know, kind of this, as it applies to what was going on within the house. And, you know, I think one of my big questions is, how'd they come into this information? Dateline, that is. Was there a source within some department up there? You know, and I don't know. I'm not going to even state any department. I'm just going to say that there are multiple departments that are involved in the investigation of these 4 homicides. If the folks at Dateline, the producers, felt this strongly, that they would produce this thing, and I bet you dollars to donuts, brother, that this episode I bet they had some of the highest ratings they've had in a while, just simply based on this particular episode, because there were a couple of really big reveals in this, Dave.
And they built it up right. They did a good job promoting it, and there's a zeitgeist here with this particular killing, this murder, of whatever, to call a topic popular when you're dealing with the deaths of 4 college students is mind numbing. It shows you a lot about how we look at things. But, every time now that we talk about the Kohberger story, the murders, I'm going to be honest, Joe, I have a twinge of hurt for you over what happened in Orlando at CrimeCon when you were giving an incredibly, you did a loving tribute to the students, to the victims. You talked with a lot of care about what they went through and what happened. And you kind of got at the very end, I felt like you were that you were not treated the way you should have been treated by somebody. And that bothered me. And so every time we cover this story, I think about how no matter how hard you work to take care of talking about the individuals, you and I are both victim advocates. And
Yes.
whenever we're not seen that way, it bothers me. And
yeah, it does. And listen, it's like I said before, not turning down any kind of offer that's made, even in those circumstances, which, by the way, I think I've made mention of this before, but it was in a room of 3,400 people.
yeah,
I don't think that I've ever spoken to a crowd that large before. I couldn't see the back of the room. First off, there's lights in your eyes.
it was awesome.
But I could tell there were a lot of people,
said that's
and so
awesome.
I couldn't see beyond it. But yeah, and it was a learning experience. And you never know. You never know what's going to bubble up out of that. But when you think about what Dateline has done and in talking about this case, 3,400 people is nothing. That happened that night or that afternoon. With me, you think about the people that they reach, and there's not going to be anybody standing up and making some kind of comment in the crowd.
No.
This is going to be about something else. There might be people at home screaming at the television screen for all I know. I have no idea. But when you get into like that kind of real granular detail about what they are being told, and I have to think that they're being told because they're not investigators. I think that the most striking thing that came out of this is that there was one part, I believe, where they allege that Xana may have gone upstairs when she heard a noise. Now, I don't know how they validate that. I don't know how they come up with that. And then, of course, she is perhaps, it's kind of implied that maybe she was chased back down the stairs by Kohberger. He goes into the room, attacks her. She had been up. She had received the order that they had done, the food order. She was awake, and it deviates from what we had heard about Ethan, because now they're saying that Ethan most likely was asleep in bed, and we know what we've heard previously about Xana and her injuries, where you've got these sharp force injuries that literally go down to the cartilage in her fingers, where there's either blade grabbing going on in a defensive posture, or she's been stabbed in the hand. And of course, she's brutalized at that point. And then,
well, you got to think about it. She's stuck in a room. They found her with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door. So she would have been like stuck in the bedroom. You know what I mean? There would have been no place for her to even escape. And that's probably what she was trying to do.
My Lord, the information that Dateline is saying, again, not Morgan saying it, what they're talking about relative to Ethan, we've heard that Ethan, I think there was one iteration where they said Ethan was on the floor and just adjacent to the door, and he'd had a really nasty injury to his neck. That, that doesn't square with what Dateline is saying. Because Dateline, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, Dateline said that Ethan's leg or legs were carved up with a sharp force injury and that he was in the bed. So that it completely changes the dynamic of what we had known about this case to begin with. Am I right? Isn't that what
Absolutely
they had
right.
said?
And
Do you think that he carved in Ethan's legs because of the fact that he had to like unalive him, and he felt like if it is Bryan, let's say Bryan just planned to go there to unalive one person and he ended up, killing 4? Do you think that he was like just so angered and had his adrenaline was still pumping, even though it was the last victim, that he would carve into his legs? That to me is very telling of the kind of person that whoever this person was that did this, what they think about the man being in the house, Ethan, and Kaylee. And even Xana's fingers were severed, but she could have been just trying to grab for it. But he, well, I don't think he was planning on unaliving all those people. I don't know if they're pre or post. Or I think they were post. They were post. Yeah, for Ethan, they were, yeah. Because he tried to save Xana. Yeah, I was even thinking, Devaney, like maybe he was trying to take Ethan out, like down before he, could. But I guess the wound to Ethan's neck, it was like to his carotid, as far as I'm hearing, and like, the motions that they showed on like, Dateline, and where they said that he was like cut and stuff. It could definitely be where he would have bled out, pretty fast. Hey, Felicia. I was just thinking of you today. I was like, where's Felicia been? Thank you, Cracker Jacks. Thank you so much for the super sticker. That's so nice of you. Thank you, guys. Just trying to like hit that little like heart thing, but there we go. Okay.
When I saw that, I thought, this is new. This is not information that we have had up to this point. As a matter of fact, a lot of the stuff that we're being told now are things we didn't know, or things that they don't make sense, to be honest with you. We were told at first that Dylan Mortensen, the bushy, the one who described the bushy eyebrows.
Yeah.
That Dylan, that she heard something and went into sleep and woke up around noon. Now we find out that Dylan Mortensen was on the phone all the time. So there's a lot of things
that actually. And I think that information actually came out prior to the Dateline special.
It did, and
that was like week or week before last, or something.
I think
it's
it was
like
leaked
this kind of
information.
slow trickle of things that has gone on.
Joe, I remember back to the Scott Peterson case, and do you remember what happened between the first day of the trial and the last day? Other than all the evidence, there was a really big reveal, a really big change.
His hair color.
And it's because of that whenever I see a trickle of information coming out or something that is really counter to what we believe up to this moment, I realize that investigators don't have all the truth yet. They're still figuring it out. In the Peterson case, the investigators, the prosecutors, opened by saying they believe Lacey Peterson was killed on December 23rd.
Yeah.
And by the end of the trial, it was proved that no, she wasn't killed on she was killed on Christmas Eve. That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah. It's gigantic.
And that's why when something like that can happen in a major crime that had all the world's attention, right, and still does, Peterson still has huge ratings. The guy's got the LA Innocence Project. I mean, everybody's working on this thing. And, I'll be honest with you, Joe, if investigators had that part wrong, I got a feeling, look, I think he did it, but go ahead and look at it again. But in this case, how do you go from saying the reason we didn't get a 911 call until noon is because the roommate was asleep, after she sees a guy with bushy hair is bolting out the door, she just goes and lays down and crashes out. But then we find out she was on the phone the whole time. It can't be both. It has to be one or the other.
Yeah, this is not one of these things where two things can be right at the same time. You know, I hear that phrase come up a lot now in conversations all around. And
so what do you think?
I don't think that I guess that if you're stating, not you, but they, if they are stating that they have information now that indicates that there was phone activity. Remember, we got those texts, you know, talking about run to me, expletive, you know, all these sorts of things. And there was even one bit that came out recently, and I don't know how they concluded this, that Dylan actually saw Xana's body and maybe thought she was sleeping. But I got to tell you, I don't know what the degree of lighting was in that environment. And I know she's not a trained professional. At least I don't think she is. She, in my estimation.
Well, they would have had on either the light in the bedroom, which I don't think that would have probably been on. The light in the hallway. There's a hallway light that shines pretty bright in front of the bathroom door. Then they had that good vibe sign in the corner hallway where Dylan, if you're going around the corner to Dylan's room. And they also had that bar cart that would have illuminated because it had like string lights or something on it, if you guys remember. So I think there would have been lighting there, but I don't think if you're walking past in a hurry, if you just looked over, you would know that she was hurt and not just, you know, passed out on the floor. Now, I don't know if her room had a rug in it on the floor or if it was all just wooden floor, but I mean, I would never sleep on a wooden floor, no matter how drunk I think I was. I'd at least make it to my bed if I was that close. Do you know what I mean? So, but her brain probably wasn't computing that at the same time.
The area around her would have been super saturated with blood. So how can you merely when you're looking over your shoulder just say, yeah, she was sleeping? And why would she be sleeping on the floor? I mean, what are you thinking? She
passed out drunk.
She passed out drunk? Because that doesn't seem like something she would have done necessarily. She's there with her boyfriend. And look, I know that we don't know yet. Alcohol had been imbibed. I mean, they had come from a fraternity party, you know, and every one of my fraternity parties, I can tell you, they were not teetotalers there. Neither was I. I was chief among sinners. And so I got to tell you, I think about this and I think about the information that has been provided along the way about the circumstances that night, maybe even leading up to that day's events, and what happened afterwards. I still think, Dave, that at this point in time, I still have more questions than I do answers. What's the adage, Dave? A picture's worth what? 1,000 words? Is that what they say? Is that it? I get confused sometimes.
If a picture paints 1,000 words,
come on,
why can't I paint you?
Is David Gates and bread.
Hey man, I had that on a Telly Savalas record.
Oh my gosh, Telly was singing it too.
No, he talked. If a picture paints 1,000 words, baby, why can't I paint you?
These images that have come out of Kohberger. Listen, I got to tell you, and I'm in no way pro Kohberger, but these are, and I don't know if these are going to be admitted into evidence, because on one level, you know, just when you see the sinister nature of them, because they do look sinister. And remember, we've been warned not to look at his eyes. You know, we can't. Defense has talked about you can't because of his condition.
Or his fly.
You know, he's got that blank stare.
Don't look at his fly neither. Remember, the camera was pointed at Kohberger's fly. They said we're not trying to look at that. So don't look at his face. Don't look at his eyes. Don't look at his crotch. I guess just look center mass. Or just close your eyes. How about that? Everybody just close their eyes.
There, he stares off in the distance. I've been locked up in a room with a lot of people over the years when I'm lecturing, and they've got blank stares as well. So I don't know how much can be read into that. But when they did release these images of him, with the hoodie on, and he's got like a watch cap, a knit cap toboggan thing on under it. And, he looks like, he's very dark looking in it. He's got this thing kind of drawn down like a Holocaust cloak, like monks used to wear. It's got that weird, kind of vibe to it. Was that part of the evidence? Is this the trove of evidence, some of the electronic evidence that's going to be presented in court? And if it is, how in the hell Dateline get their hands on it?
I don't know how they got it. I don't know. I do know that I've made a number of calls trying to find out some information to verify things, and I'm not finding it out. But, you do have an investigation that, if you remember early on, they had the person who was the not the medical examiner, but they were like voted in.
The coroner.
The coroner.
Yeah.
How the coroner gave out information.
Yes.
Early on that we would never hear before, from no, I don't want to say a legitimate source, but you know what I'm saying. That was a very unusual way to get information. The way it was literally.
Oh my God. It was when that person dropped that information. First off, she actually stated that they all appear to have been asleep. And I thought at that time, now, if we were to believe what's going on with this new data that's coming out, it's confirmation to me. Did you even go to the scene and see the bodies? How long were you there with the bodies that you would make these observations? Because I got to tell you, I don't know what appears to have been asleep means. Did Xana sleep on the floor? Is that what you mean? Because, and again, it's skewed. That's an area that the coroner never should open up about on any kind of case. And Dave, I don't care in what far-flung area of the country you're in, that's like a minimal, that's kind of a baseline of knowledge that every coroner has. We've had the national standards in place now for medical legal death investigators since 1998. That's like one of the things that we kind of pound into people's heads in that training that we established all those years ago, was that you work together as a team. When you're talking about a homicide, Dave, especially one that is unsolved, you're an elected official, you're separate from the cops. You can say what you want to say. But let me tell you this, I don't see her getting Christmas cards in the future. You know what I mean? She ain't going to be invited to the Christmas party, all right, in the wake of this, because it's foreboding. You don't do this. You don't step outside what I refer to as the investigative bubble, because there's no telling who's listening, and unless they told her just to say these things. And I can't imagine anybody would have done that. I don't understand why she felt compelled to begin to talk about these things that seem to be inaccurate.
Exactly.
That's the most gentle way that I can put that.
I think you're being kind. I think that there's a number of issues here that this Dateline special, again, I don't know where they got their information, but they felt comfortable enough with it from a legal standpoint to put it on national network television, and nobody has come out to scream about it. So it kind of makes you believe that there is information that is available somehow. But a couple of questions I still have, Joe, is that, again, I go back to the Dylan Mortensen, and I don't want to beat this dead horse. They tore the building down. They tore the house down, and we have no way of going in there to verify anything, because I have real questions about the people they call survivors. I have real questions, mainly because I haven't heard what actually transpired. But now we've been told about Dylan being on the phone the whole time, texting back and forth and on Indeed or Facebook or wherever. And, that seems to be a little odd thing to do for 8 hours and then get up and you have this carnage going on and you don't call 911. But again, stepping over that, the timetable puts.
I think we have to realize that we're older and we would probably pick up a phone and call somebody. These kids are used to like social media. So I think that her picking her phone up and looking at Snapchat, her picking her phone up, looking at Instagram, her picking her phone up, calling her dad. I think that's all telling. It's, it's a different, you just got to think of it a different way, instead of just calling, and getting up and making sure that there is not a person alive. I mean, that takes such bravery to if you think that something horrendous has happened like that, for you to go upstairs and go check on it. I think that would be so scary to do. Hey, Jenna, welcome in. Thank you. Being in college, I saw that a lot everywhere. I'm telling you, I fell asleep on the bathroom floor before. I have fallen asleep on the floor of just like my friend's bedroom before without a blanket, without a pillow. I mean, what am I? Was I born in a barn? But now, I used to be the person that always made sure everyone got to sleep good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play him again.
Xana Kronodal ordering food at 4:00 in the morning.
Yes.
And it being delivered at 4:08, something like that.
Yep.
So
what?
The timetable we're looking at.
I never heard that before. I have never heard that. We've heard that she got her food at 4:00. We've never heard that she got her food at 4:08. Have we? Am I losing my gourd? Because I don't think I am. I'm going to say I'll just take that one with a grain of salt right there.
Yeah. Begins there with Xana and ends before 4:30.
Yeah.
According to what we've been told.
Right.
So you've got a 20-minute window where one guy is going to come into a house with 6 people. And
no, you don't. What do you mean? Where's
he is going to be able to
the timeline from? Because I don't even know.
Kill very quickly. It was quick enough that he didn't wake up Ethan, because they say Ethan was asleep when he was attacked. Although I'm still wondering, how does he get something carved into his leg if he is the last victim and he slept through the whole thing? Again.
Yeah. Just the pain response alone, you would think that would be something that would, jolt you awake. Of course, we don't know about sequencing. Right. Okay. Let me throw this at you.
I was going to ask you how you're going to figure that one out.
I'll tell you how. You take the injuries from the first person, and that person's mixture their DNA is going to be mixed on that knife. So Maddie's is going to be mixed with Kaylee's. Kaylee's and Maddie's is going to be mixed with Xana's, and Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee should be on Ethan. Like all of the victims. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cross-contamination of the blood. I was just wanting to interrupt him so I could say it before he could. He'll probably say it right now.
Let me throw this at you. Yeah, if what date, and this is not Morgan saying it's Dateline, if what Dateline is saying is accurate, okay, then what are the fatal wounds that Ethan would have sustained? It's not going to be a carving of the leg.
Carotid artery.
That's not going to be fatal, at least in the immediate. You might exsanguinate after a period of time, depending upon how deeply your legs might have been cut. However, here's something I want to throw at you. What if he was attacked in another area of his body, and then after the fact, this is done to him?
Yeah,
that goes into an area of mutilation. And again, I know I'm projecting here. He's a male. He's the only male in domicile. Wow. And I think back to a comment that was made in this program by this person that knew him over at Washington State. And she had invited him allegedly to a pool party. And his eyes, according to her, had locked on to these two young women that
Oh,
were
he went there
clad
with.
in
Wait,
bikinis.
hold on a second. Joseph Scott Morg. He went there with Christian Martinez.
And was just focused on them. He knows nobody. This is like, we feel sorry for this guy. We want to invite him in, kind of introduce him to, it's probably other graduate students, TAs, GAs, those sorts of people that are working toward the same goals,
Keeping
or
me on my
maybe
toes over
employees
here.
that work in the department. And he can't
Hey,
take his
Dan.
eyes off of them. As a matter of fact, he interjects himself into a conversation with one of these young women, allegedly, that was there with her husband, never acknowledged the husband. The entire conversation is having a conversation like her with her, allegedly, like it goes something like, do you like rock climbing? Do you like hiking? You know, just
Favorite
completely
activity.
inappropriate. And I think about
No.
that, and you're dismissing
The inappropriate part was like, it wasn't even inappropriate. He said, I like that activity. It was just kind of like an open invitation.
the male that's there. And if what they're talking about really, and I don't know if this was their point with a Dateline special, that they maybe perhaps are intimating that he did something to Ethan because he's a male. He was there and there were these other females. Maybe that's a long shot. I have no idea, but I don't know. It's certainly something to think about.
I don't think he was just out tooling around looking at stars at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, there's a nice house. I think I'll go in and see if I can kill anybody. You know?
No,
this is a location that whoever did this had some level of familiarity with it. And, you know, that's another interesting bit that they dropped here, Dave, is the fact that now, and I don't know, this might be bigger than anything else, that now we've got new surveillance photos or surveillance video from an adjacent house where you can, and we've never seen this before. That was one of the other big reveals here, where you can see what appears to be a white Elantra that's making loops and passing. Do you remember some of the other footage that we had initially that we've talked about before? And it's real blurry. This is not quite as blurry, and you can see the car pass in multiple directions from that static camera that was on an adjacent house. My wife and I were, you know, kind of watching it the other day, just the video, because I haven't seen the entire episode of the Dateline thing. And, you know, we were saying, well, if they have this camera, this videography, and here's where I kind of will leave this. If they have this videography and we've never seen it before, a big question is, what else do the police have that we haven't seen yet? I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
Okay. I was just reading on some stuff. Let me take all this stuff down. If I can find it. There we go. There I am. What was I? Okay. I was reading about like the wounds, because each victim. Okay, so what I think Ann Taylor's going to do, what she's going to try to do, is she's going to say it's the alternate perpetrator and that it was 2 weapons were used, and or maybe she'll say 3 or 2, or 3, actually 3, because out of the 4 students that were murdered, 3 of them had different knife wounds. They had, I don't have the PCA with me right here, but I mean, I do, but I probably find it better if I just go on my Canva. Where's my stuff? I'm trying to think. Idaho 4. I don't ever like put my stuff in like folders like I should. It was like wounds. It's not coming up. But one of them was like incised. One was like puncture. And then Kaylee and Maddie had the same kind of wounds. I don't know why mine's not popping up. Am I even signed in? I should be, but okay. but yeah, so they all three had different wounds. So I think that Anne might try to do this. Like there's two perpetrators, and we'll see how that goes. She's saying that there's an alternate suspect, so we'll see. We'll see. But the Bryan Cole, so the leak in this case, from Dateline, that evidence that they leaked out, if there was real evidence that was leaked, then they may end up throwing that evidence out, suppressing that evidence, just so that the trial can stay on course for August 11th, or he might give them a continuance. He might not do neither. He might just say, you're shit out of luck. See you August 11th. Or actually, I'll see you in the next court hearing. But, he does have another court hearing coming up in a few days. So we'll hear some stuff. And it's actually like a week or so. Let me double check exactly when it is. I had it up. June 18th. And that's to address the alternate suspect claims. So they are going to argue that. Now, some of the evidence could be excluded. I don't think that he will exclude it. Judge Hippler could get the special prosecutor like he said he was going to, and have them dig into this and see who did what when. I would like to know who did it. I'd like to know. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever find out, but I would like to know. They found out during Delphi who the leak was. And it didn't take them long, it didn't seem like, to find out who was doing stuff in that case. So, you think so too, Devo? That's what we're kind of thinking. We're thinking that maybe, Yeah, I would like to know. I know Joseph Scott Morgan. I'm always correcting people though when it comes to this case. It don't matter who it is. Nancy too. Nancy's a big one. I love Nancy. I do. I love my Nancy, but she gets paid to be the face at this point. You know what I mean? Like, and the energy. Cause like and there's stuff about this case that I don't know. And that's why I'll ask you guys, but I always am. I'll always at least stop it if I hear something wrong, and I'll correct it, and I'll always do that. So, let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to show you guys? I don't think there was for tonight. Oh, I was going to tell you about the wounds I was reading about. So, if you're stabbed, you're more likely, it says, to result in a very rapid or near instantaneous death, like certain areas of your body. If you are hit in the heart or a major blood vessel, brainstem or high spinal cord, carotid. I'm not gonna say that right, so we're gonna carotid. Oh, it's carotid. Doesn't even look like it. Arteries or jugular veins. Okay, so right, maybe this severing the carotid arteries or jugular veins in the neck can cause massive blood loss and a quick drop in blood pressure, leading to unconsciousness within seconds and death within a couple of minutes. So, it could have been something like that, and where it was. I'm sure Bryan was. If this was Bryan that did this, obviously he was looking it up. He was like looking up where I would assume that he was looking up where to, stab that would cause the most like force. But then again, I don't know, because maybe he was only there to unalive one person and he thought it was going to be easy. He thought maybe when he went in there, he was just thinking, I'm only going to unalive Maddie Mogan. We'll find out. Now, I wanted to tell you guys, I have it up here. Let me put it up. So this is her flyer, Maddie May Day. It is going to be May 25th. So just everybody, if you remember, it's Sunday. It's going to be, just a random acts of kindness day. So to honor the life of Madison May Mogan. And I got my nails all like cute pinksy color. I had to go get one fixed today already. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. We're doing it already. And they already broke. But yeah, so, and then next month it'll be for Kaylee, and then July, Xana, and then October, Ethan. So yeah, I just want the why. Yeah, Jenna, me too. I would love to know the why. Yeah. Everyone in the house. And you know what, DM? I mean, that could have been it. They could have blamed it on Ethan or something. Not like I would ever believe that. I mean, don't know. I didn't know the kid when he was alive, but knowing him after, it doesn't seem like he'd be the type of kid that you could even look at and think that. But yeah, I hope that they tell us if they're going to continue. Like when Judge Hippler, when he reads over these 40 pages, I hope he's reading over them tonight, sipping his bourbon or whatever. And I hope he's reading over these and going, oh my gosh, okay, I know I got to address the Dateline episode. I thought I already did, but maybe he'll have them come back in. Oh, so James Patterson is an author. He's written, I don't even know how many books. He's written so many, hundreds of books. And he's coming out with an Idaho book. So I thought maybe I would pre-record it or pre-order it and record it like live, reading it to you guys. I did that with Howard Bloom's book, and it actually went pretty well. Howard Bloom didn't use any of his weird language in his book that, half the words I don't even know what he's saying when he does his like airmails, because he uses words that nobody uses. No one uses them. She might be actually, Ashley, I think she is. I think she is. Maddie's such an angel. Hey, call. Yeah. He gets off on the murder stuff. Yeah, that is true. I mean, the girl did like him, I think. Yeah. Hey, Wicked. Yeah, it's the firing squad in Idaho. I'm just reading the chat. I was just reading the chat. But I think Ethan's mom is working on that book. Oh, let me go ahead and check that thing. I'll put it on our community tab too. And whoever said don't care, I love that kind of personality. That I don't care, whatever. But thank you guys all for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for coming in, showing up, hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you, True Crime Lullabies, for the $9.99 super sticker. That was so sweet. Ladybug, $9.99. Willows did $5. Willows gifted 5 memberships. Mia Mori gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Cracker Jacks donated $1.99, and Jenna donated $2. And I appreciate that, you guys. I really do. It helps the channel more than you guys know. I think BK had every intention to unalive Maddie and SA her, but he couldn't because Kaylee was there. Yep. Meet simple Southern mama. I agree with you. I agree with that. And I think that if he wouldn't have unalived Xana or Ethan and he saw Dylan, I think he would have unalived her too. I don't even think he saw Dylan. I personally don't. On our next live, we'll go through the house. We'll go through the animation that we have of the house, because we can actually move through it again. I can show you where people were found. I can show you like where the probable cause comes into play. Because for months, this stupid website was not working for me. And then today I clicked on it. I was like, and it gonna work. And it worked. And I was like, holy crap. So we'll go through that, because that'll give you guys a lot better of an understanding, especially if you're newer to the case, or if you just don't know the layout of the house, because it is a really weird layout. I don't care who you are. It's a weird layout. My whole family, all the guys in my family, they built houses like growing up. That's what my dad did. My uncle did. My cousin did that. My brother did that. This house is just very awkward. awkward house. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Hopefully my true crime coverage was pretty good for you. I know 3 sides was making me a little nervous. I'm just kidding. I know what you meant whenever you were talking about the true crime thing. It made me laugh. Behind the scenes, Nancy's gym. Oh, you know that Nancy is. I see her on Twitter with her kids, and she's like the proudest mother ever. Like ever. Like I never thought that. Like my mom used to hate Nancy Grace. I remember growing up, my mom was like, I hate that woman. My dad loved her though. And then she got pregnant with her twins, and then my mom started liking her. She's like, I don't know, I just love her. So me too, True Crime Mother Boys. I feel like I do too. I watch like a good balance of creators. I actually got like a new badge. I guess it's because this creator has like hearted my comments like a couple times. I don't comment on videos. So I was like, wow. It was a video of her. She's getting married and she was showing her mother, like she was showing her mother how to make something. Like it was for like the wedding. It says like the I don't know, it was a video short and it said like, this is my mother's first time living too. And like, it made me like feel in my feelings, you know, because mom and daughter videos do that. So I told her, I said, make sure she's a part of the whole experience. Like, of, you know what I mean? Like, because that's what moms are supposed to be for. So I hope the leaker's found. Me too. I want him to have the fairest trial in history also. I don't want this to be like an OJ thing where we're 20 years down the line and, you know, we're all like, how did he get off? Nancy is funny. Oh, they don't? It doesn't allow you to like people's comments? I didn't even realize that. Oh. Oh, yeah, Top Mom. Yeah, that's when I started watching Nancy more. Well, I watched during OJ, Scott Peterson. I was young, but we recorded it, so you had to watch it. Damn you, Dad, and that VHS. I'll never forget that VHS player. When our parents first got those, they were so excited about those things. Yes, that's the best way to do it. Well, thank you guys for all being here tonight. I appreciate you so much. This weekend, what is today? Wednesday? Yeah. Okay. So this weekend I want to do a giveaway. I want to do like a subscriber giveaway, and then I want to do a members giveaway. I don't know what we're going to give away yet. We've done like gift cards in the past. That's what we've given away. I thought about doing gift cards again because like that's just people like money. You know what I mean? Or I might put together maybe like a little basket of stuff too. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll get some ideas together. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm sure we'll be talking about something exciting. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Hopefully Judge Hippler's drinking that bourbon and he's, you know, typing up his response. And we'll get that tomorrow. Probably not. Probably wishful thinking, but maybe. But good night, guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful Thursday and have a good night. Bye.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how.